Well, today we're going to be talking about something that's very near and dear to many Newfoundlanders, and that is molasses buns. Now, for us, we like to add raisins to our molasses buns. Now, for a lot of people, they mightn't have grown up having molasses buns in their own home, but whenever you went to your grandparents and you had a cup of tea after a meal, those molasses buns would always make its way to the table. And that's something we're going to make today. It's a very old recipe taken from a very old cookbook back in the 30s and then revised in the 40s. So this is a very old recipe. Molasses buns, they've been a treat throughout the province for many generations. Passed down from one generation to the next, and still enjoyed all over the island today. Whether you're a lifetime Newfoundlander or someone who's just curious about the unique part of Canadian cuisine. Cuisine, something we're not used to saying here in Newfoundland, but it's definitely an iconic treat, iconic sweet for Newfoundlanders. If you've never had a molasses bun, well, let me paint you a picture. Imagine a sweet bun with a deep, rich flavor, almost like a cross between a slightly sweet biscuit and a cake. They're often described as having a bit of a dark, caramel-like taste thanks to the molasses. You've probably seen these on the tables of your family gatherings, especially during the colder months, especially around the holidays, right alongside of other Newfoundland staples like toutons, pea soup, and even doughboys. What makes these buns so iconic? Well, they have a very deep-rooted history in the Newfoundland rural island life. You see, many Newfoundland recipes were born out of necessity. We didn't have the fancy ingredients, so it was based on the ingredients that was available, which back in the old days wasn't a lot of variety. What they add was simple and local ingredients that was plentiful and affordable, like flour, butter, milk, and of course molasses. Now, molasses was a game changer. It added such a rich sweetness and was full of nutrients. So it made sense to use everything from baking to cooking. Molasses has long been a popular ingredient in Newfoundland kitchens, both because it was a practical pantry item and because it worked wonders in colder months, providing energy and warmth. It's a testament to Newfoundland's resourcefulness, making the most of what was available. Let's break down the ingredients for you. When you're making molasses buns, it's usually very basic ingredients, usually ingredients you already have at home. And of course, the main ingredient is molasses, flour, sugar, butter, and milk. But there are also a couple secret ingredients that help take these buns from good to great. First, there's the molasses. It's what gives the buns their characteristic dark color and that beautiful rich sweetness. Molasses adds a very distinct flavor. It's almost a little bitter, a little earthy, which balances out the sweetness perfectly. It also helps to keep the buns moist, very moist, giving them the tender crumble. Then there's the baking soda. It reacts with the acidity of the molasses and helps the buns to rise. You can't skip this step. Without baking soda, you ain't gonna get them rise. You're basically gonna have hockey pucks. The flour, sugar, and butter are there for the structure and flavor, and the milk helps bring everything together, creating a dough that's easy to work with and shapes up perfectly. Some recipes calls for cinnamon or ginger, and even allspice, and this helps with extra flavor. Father certainly loves making these molasses buns. And how do you do it? Well, you just add all your dry ingredients together, then you start adding your wit, and then you start blending it all together with your hands. That's it. It's very simple, Very basic recipe. Anybody can make molasses buns. It's up to you if you want to add some raisins or leave the raisins out. But for us, we love raisins. When it comes to shaping the molasses buns, this is entirely up to you. Now, Father likes to roll it out and he likes to cut it. Because I think what Dad likes to do is to see how many he can get out of one batch. And that's why he rolls it out and he kind of goes through it and see how many he can get. But a lot of people will just spoon it out. Spoon it out and you can make it into a ball and then flatten it out on a cookie sheet. Very simple. Use parchment paper. Makes life a lot easier. So how do you serve molasses buns? Well, the best way is right out of the oven and you slap some butter right on top with a nice cup of tea. Now, if you want to go even further, and I know my grandparents and a lot of our aunts and uncles, they would serve it with molasses. To get that extra taste, that extra sweetness, they would serve it with molasses drizzled over the top. Or if you want to get a little fancy, add a little bit of strawberry jam or raspberry jam. Just cut them open, add it to the center. Now for me, I'm not going to tell you what I like on my molasses buns, and I've always liked it, and I still have it today. So how do you like your molasses buns? I guess I can tell you. I like Cheese Whiz. Don't hate in the comments, but Cheese Whiz, molasses buns. Love it. Love it. How do you like your molasses buns? Some people like to add a little twist to their molasses buns. You might add raisins or currants into the dough. Now, we love raisins, so we always add raisins to our molasses buns. Same with our sweet bread. We call it raisin bread because we add raisins, but a lot of people don't like raisins. And to us, it's missing something big. That's the raisins. Now, this is something that not a lot of people would add is cinnamon and allspice. Now, allspice is very strong, so we'll only add a little dash, but some people will leave that out. And there is no right or wrong way how you make a molasses bun. It is different tastes, and different places, different locations around the island, they do things different. Different ingredients, different recipes. So how do you make your raisin buns? Oh, sorry, molasses buns, because you might not add raisins. You might say, that's not a molasses bun. Molasses bun, no raisins. So let me know in the comments how you make yours, or how your grandparents, your grandmother, how did she make her raisin buns? Said it again, oops, molasses buns. How did she make her molasses buns? Molasses buns is more than just a treat. They're a piece of Newfoundland soul. They speak to the island's history, its people, and its way of life. In Newfoundland, food is a way of showing love, welcoming people into your home, and that's why when we cook and you see us cooking, that we share our food. We put in extra. Because when you look at it, if you're cooking anyway, a few extra vegetables, few extra ingredients, doesn't cost that much extra. But if we're able to share it with family and friends, that's the beauty. Something very special behind that. It's not just giving out food. It's very special. Here in Newfoundland, food means everything. And if you get invited or given a dish of food, sweets, there's a meaning behind that. It's not just giving out food. In Newfoundland, food is a way of showing love, a way of welcoming people into your home, a way to celebrate. When we invite people into our home and have a meal, people go all out. It's very special. It's a very special moment, very special time. It's more than just food. As you see in my videos, and if you've been to Newfoundland, if you're from Newfoundland, you know food is a huge part of our culture, our heritage, of who we are. And if you're on the mainland and you have neighbors that are Newfoundlanders and you get invited over for a Sunday dinner, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Food is the soul of Newfoundlanders. And when we offer it to friends, family, even strangers, we're giving a piece of ourselves. Food is extremely important in this province. And you might say food is important to everyone. But for Newfoundlanders, being able to share our recipes, being able to cook up a big meal for strangers, for family, for friends, that really gets to us. It's something we love doing. And when we are able to share it, we're giving a part of our soul, a part of our own culture, a part of who we are as individuals. We're sharing that with you. So next time you're offer some food from a Newfoundlander, invited over for a meal, just know that they consider you someone very special. And they're offering something very special to you. When I was growing up, I remember the best part about family gatherings was also the smell of those buns baking. My grandmother used to make them, and no matter how much we tried to help in the kitchen, she always seemed to make them just a little bit better. It wasn't just about the recipe, it was about the love and the memories shared around the kitchen table. Every bite of these buns brought us closer together, and that's the beauty of traditional recipes like this. It's not just about food, it's family, culture, and connection. Molasses buns is also associated with the rural way of life in Newfoundland, where cooking was about making the most of what you had, often using the ingredients that could last through the harsh winters. Molasses, being an affordable, long-lasting ingredient, was a favorite in many homes. So if you're inspired by anything that I said here today, or even what I showed you, I really think you should give molasses buns or raisin buns a try. Simple, easy recipe. I'll have the recipe at the end of the video, so you just be able to screenshot it and be able to make it for yourself. Very simple. And if you're not from Newfoundland, this is a way to be able to connect with our province, connect with our past, connect with our culture. These are traditional foods of Newfoundland, and I really hope you give them a try. Let me know what you think in the comments, and we'll see you in our next video.